guys, what is going on? I hope everybody has had a fantastic week so far. I have finally graduated from my class. That was one of the hardest tests I've ever been through. There was no written part to this test. It was all practical. Basically, the test consisted of this practical exercise that was about 8 hours long, and I literally finished with 15 minutes to spare. So I am done. I am finally done. I am certified. I'm good. We're good to go. And I apologize. I know that I'm very sweaty. It is very hot in this room. This room takes all the sunlight all the time. So it gets very hot in here. So a lot of you have asked me before, time and time again, what is it like to be in a car chase? So really any chase, whether it's on foot or it's in a car, is going to be a huge adrenaline dump. But I think the biggest thing about chases is that they are extremely dangerous because people do crazy things that they wouldn't normally do out of desperation, trying to get away from the police. Especially if they have started, their escape or trying to run or whatever. It's almost like a no turning back kind of moment. So people do a lot of desperate things that can make the whole situation dangerous for themselves, for officers, and for innocent people that have nothing to do with it. And whether you're going 120 miles an hour down the highway or you're chasing somebody through the projects, either way, there are certain things that officers need to keep in mind to keep themselves safe. The biggest thing about car chases is, as the initiating officer, you have to figure out, is this chase worth it? Very simply put, is it worth it? Now, in most departments, officers are actually given discretion on whether or not they want to continue a chase or not. Usually whenever a vehicle chase starts, they have to notify a supervisor what's going on. The supervisor will kind of figure out, based on weather and traffic conditions, whether the chase should continue or whether it should be stopped right there. But usually if a supervisor gives you the okay go to go ahead and chase the person, after that, you can call it off. If you feel at any point that it's getting too dangerous or things are getting out of hand, just because you initiated it doesn't mean you can't cut it off. A prime example of a chase that me personally, I would call off, let's say you have a shoplifting at Target. Okay, so you get to Target, dude sees you, runs for the car, you get in your car, and the chase is on. Okay, you guys are screaming down the road 100 miles an hour, and school is about to let out. Let's say it's 3:30 in the afternoon. That would be one of the circumstances, especially if they're going toward a school zone, that would be a circumstance that I would definitely call it off, right? Because it's a shoplifting charge. It's not worth somebody running over a kid just because you want to catch your bad guy. I think cops have this complex about them of how dare you run from me? I'll admit, I was kind of like that at first too, but you can't take it personally, man. This is just a job, and you'll get them another day. That's just it. Nobody's going to flee the state just because they have a shoplifting charge. So you are going to see them and you will get them another day, and probably in a much safer manner than, like I said, screaming down the road coming up on a school zone. Now, if it's 2 o'clock in the morning and there are no cars on the road, it is game on. Most supervisors aren't just going to give you approval to chase, they're going to catch up to you and join the chase. And it's unfortunate that chases even happen to begin with because they're so dangerous. Foot chases are dangerous for the officer and the suspect, really. But vehicle chases are usually putting other people at risk. So car chases are one of those things. It's a necessary evil. Not everybody's going to agree with me, and that's fine. Everybody has their opinion. But if I have a murder suspect that I fear is going to harm other people, then yes, I will chase you until the rubber melts off of my car. A lot of people ask me, what does it feel like actually being in a chase? Yeah, we know you can call it off. We know there's certain procedures, but what does it actually feel like being in a chase? That is probably the most adrenaline dumping experience you can ever have. You have to be careful not to get tunnel vision, right? You're going down the road so fast, that by itself makes tunnel vision. But then knowing that you're chasing somebody that is actively trying to get away from you for whatever reason it might be. Yeah, it's a huge adrenaline dump. You don't know what they have. You don't know if they have weapons. You don't know their history. You don't know if they're just legitimately trying to get away or if they're planning on killing you at the end of it. So it's one of those things we have to take into account. And I think that's part of the reason why a lot of officers, you get the adrenaline dump. And especially as a new officer, you don't really know how to channel that adrenaline dump at first. So you do get overly excited. You kind of lose your mind in a sense. It's good and bad. You have to be able to channel that adrenaline, to stop, to think clearly, to make your plan of action instead of just reacting to whatever happens. This is why it's so valuable when you have a car chase to have experienced officers in the chase, because they know the back roads. They know all the hiding spots. They know the streets to cut down. The new officers are just going to chase blindly throughout a city or a county or whatever. So it's a really good idea to have experienced officers on your shift. A shift that has nothing but new officers on it is going to cause problems, especially in something with as much liability as a car chase. I see it all the time. New officers constantly get pissed because there are times where they're called off of a chase. Stop chasing that person. I don't care if they just broke into somebody's shed. Stop the chase. You're putting other people at risk. It's unnecessary. And they get pissed about it. And don't get me wrong, there are some supervisors that they would probably call you off of a car chase if it was a murderer and it was 2 o'clock in the morning. A lot of supervisors are scared of that liability. But then you have others that will tell you, go for it any time of the day. There's things you have to take into account, like what time of day it is. What day of the week is it? What are the weather conditions? What are the traffic conditions? What am I chasing this person for? And you kind of have to weigh out and use some common sense and figure out, if it's something that's worthy of going 3 digits. A good buddy of mine one time, he got into a chase. It was on foot. They're running through these buildings and stuff, and he's trying to keep up with the guy. He's on the radio, and this guy's former military, very well kept, very organized, and this guy disappears behind a building. And as soon as the officer turned around the building, the guy was standing right there with a gun. Click, click. So the officer pulled his firearm, shot the guy, and he just shot him in the leg, and they were able to take him into custody. Those are the kinds of things that you don't expect to happen. You'll get into chases where, the moment you touch somebody, they're going to give up. And there are other times you're going to have to fight with somebody after you have done a full-on sprint for 5 blocks or more. You just never really know. So you have to prepare yourself mentally and physically for these kind of events. But I tell you, there is nothing better than getting into a high-speed pursuit that turns into a foot chase and catching your guy, especially if it's something significant. If you catch like an armed robber or something like that, it is one of the most gratifying feelings you could ever have. That's another thing is once officers, especially newer officers, once they catch their guy, they don't know when to stop. So they do tend to be more aggressive and rough and stuff like that. And you know what? Once you've caught them, you caught them. There's no need to start beating someone's ass or start jacking them up by their arms and stuff like that. You won. So let it go. Well, that is it for today, guys. I appreciate you joining me. Hopefully I was able to answer some of your questions about car chases and foot chases. If you have any additional questions, leave them in the comment section below. Someone actually gave me a very good idea recently, and that is to film a YouTube video and then a couple of nights after that do a live stream about that video. So if you guys think that's a good idea, let me know in the comment section. We might start doing that. I might start doing more live streams and answering some of the questions from that particular video. So if you guys have any questions, leave them in the comment section below. We'll do a live stream here soon. Thank you very much for joining me, and I will see you guys very, very soon.